Thank you. Please excuse the security, you know.
Oh, it's okay. We understand.
Thank you, thank you.
It is a wonderful pleasure.
Thank you. Welcome. Oh, what's in that bag?
Treats.
Oh, I love treats.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Very well, even better.
Excellent. Right.
We're tall folk.
Huh?
We're tall
Well,
folk.
we are.
Right.
And I love that, what is it there? Toque.
It's nice, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
I
And
heard
imagine who blessed that toque, you know, the flag and all that stuff.
My flag just came in yesterday, actually.
Did it?
Yes.
timing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, well, it's
Perfect
good
timing.
timing. It's just kind of funny.
Do have a seat, please. Have a seat. You guys are aware that we're going to do the ceremony, right? Have a seat. Don't worry, no worries. So we're gonna have a little chat. Anything you guys want to talk about? How's that, eh? You have a queen who.
Well,
is
thank you
here.
for everything you've been doing
You're welcome.
and continue to do.
You're welcome. The heavy lifting has been done. So the heavy lifting, as in the military, the Communist Party military of China has been removed. So that's that. Then I've removed your fake corporation governments. They are now falling in line. Their minions are now having to fall in line because they know they have no more power. And I'm backed by the U.S. military. So either they can gently walk away, or
We'll
there's
help.
some fireworks happening. I don't think they would want me to bring in my special kind of fireworks. So, yes.
Awesome.
What's happening here in Newfoundland?
You have dumps in here, and we are still cleaning up the dumps. The
The
deep
ones on
underground
Bell, the
military.
one on Bell Island, you mean, or?
Yes.
And what are we doing with Goose Bay?
Yes, and they have to be sealed off. And so, if you all of a sudden you start feeling the ground shaking or hear sounds that doesn't usually happen, you don't hear it often, that means they're doing stuff down there. Usually the earthquake is about 3 on the Richter scale. It measures as 3. At one time they did a simultaneous blowing up of the dams. When they sealed it off, they blew it up, and at 2 points ended up registering as 6.0. So people started panicking, and I'm like, oh, so they did this. They blew up one end simultaneously the other, and it just, I guess the force had nothing else to, or nowhere else to go but to go up. So the Richter scale just registered 6.0. So that's just a heads up. It's almost done. It's almost done.
Is that why we're getting so? Do you know so much wind? Since October, I've never felt. I live in Cowan Heights, so
Right.
just up by the mall up there, and
Yes.
it's windy anyway. But I've never. I'm walking my dog and I'm blowing.
Yes,
130
yes.
pounds must not be that hard, right? So,
Yes,
but
exactly.
it's. I've never seen it. so
They're
much wind.
artificial winds, yes. They create to keep the people indoor.
Okay.
Yeah. So when necessary, they do that.
I have an Inuit dog. I can't be inside.
Hmm. Sorry. Tell your dog, it'll be a few more, let's say, before summertime, it should be all done. Probably two more months or less.
Okay.
So it should be done.
I'm gonna go home and get him because he has to see you.
Oh, of course. Why didn't you take him with you?
I had to drop my wife came home.
Yeah.
We're down to her vehicle broke down, so we're using my vehicle. So
Okay. All right.
you'll know when he comes. He has his head out the sunroof. Like I have to have the sunroof open
Oh,
no
yes?
matter what goes on.
There you go. Love the energy. Well, I'm sure your dog is able to sense energies. So.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Yes.
Any questions? Do you guys want some coffee, by the way?
No, thank
Okay.
you.
Good, thanks.
What do you think of Newfoundland?
Pretty awesome so far. By the way, I started dancing because I said, we're gonna start dancing in the streets. I started dancing on the RV here earlier, so I said, Newfoundland, we the people, you guys have to continue dancing until I return in the summertime.
Okay.
Yeah, I've already started it, so.
Perfect. That can't be hurt.
I was.
No, we could find some music for you.
Yes,
Right.
and I was going to have a dance party here tonight, but the weather seems to be a little bit cold for a dance. So,
Just have to stay longer.
right. And someone said, "Well, you stayed in Ottawa for 19 days. You can stay another day on the island." I'm like, "Well, you see, I have to go to the U.S. also, 50 states, to help liberate the U.S. Funny enough, it's reverse. Yes,
Yeah.
your head of state is the one going there to liberate the U.S., whereas they are usually the ones liberating everybody else.
True. Very true.
Hmm. But that role has been reversed when I said to our military in the U.S., Commander-in-Chief, I said, guess what? The enemy is not overseas where you guys have been sending our militaries and troops. It's in Canada. We have to bring our people back to Canada and get rid of the Chinese communist military, because they're staging in Canada to prepare a invasion of the U.S. So I don't know what was happening during that time. Usually they have the intel, but whatever was happening, of course, they also had their deep state people there that was playing a role. So they didn't realize that some of those ships coming from China were filled with Chinese military, and majority of them were robots, military. So we had the pleasure of frying some of them, just to we do that kind of thing in the military.
How's things going in Thailand?
Thailand, there is a royal family there that's in charge. The gentleman there is not so, let's just say, he was under control of the deep state. Many royal families were under the clasp of the deep state, like Saudi Arabia until 2017. It was run by the deep state. Thailand, they are now learning who the real person running the world, and so the royal families there is beginning to cooperate. But Asia is actually only very strict in certain areas. It's like Thailand, if you went to their tourism or tourist areas, they're very lax as far as their COVID restrictions. The tourists area. Only in certain parts of their cities, then that's where they're enforcing. But I said, remove the royal families of Thailand and remove the royal families of Malaysia. Because Malaysia, they had a king he was chosen because he was one of the elders, but he wasn't really a true royal bloodline. So he's been removed because he was also taking money to allow the jab on his people. So I said remove him, so he's been removed, that was the prime minister. Yes, and then one of the royal family members was removed. So we are removing even the royal families around the world that have been using their people in exchange for money or power in their own countries.
I used to go to Thailand a lot because I
Kung po
trained
Thai
with
dai mai
Thai.
ka?
Pardon?
Kung po Thai dai mai ka?
Look, Maya.
I just asked him, do you speak Thai? So he
My
said
son,
no.
my 12-year-old is named full Thai, Kasim
Yeah.
Suchart.
Oh wow,
Yes, so.
half? Your
He's
wife
a
is-
blonde-haired, blue-eyed boy, right?
Really? Wow,
But my
nice.
my master in Muay Thai, he's from Thailand. He's from Chiang Mai, and he's just made a very big difference in my life, actually. So I always said if I had another child, I want to name him somewhere in there
Somewhere in
after
there.
him, right?
Yes.
So, and I know that we used to be there a lot, and when the king was alive, people
king.
loved him. People loved him. And then when he died, his son
His
took
son.
over,
Yes.
and the people were. It wasn't Thailand anymore.
Yes, it's night and day.
It
It's night
was
and day.
though, and you could see the ripple effect even in Vietnam, in Cambodia, Laos,
Yes.
everywhere. Just right surrounding. Just I don't know. It just felt like everything got sucked out.
Fell apart, yes.
It did though.
Because the king of Thailand, the older king, he had a lot of humanitarian projects in Vietnam, Laos, across the Asia, and so when his son, who I guess was brought up in a different environment, and he was allowed. Well, that's the king now. He was allowed to, be around certain people or certain energies. Then it really did change, because, as you said, it's night and day. Watching the father as the king versus now the son, who's just, they call him playboy,
Yeah.
because and his wife that he had married was photographed really naked, and that picture was shared around the world. So anyhow,
You could even see the difference in the military,
oh yes,
right? I mean, it was just bizarre when you go by the palace and things when the actual king was there at
Yes.
the time, compared to when the son took
on the
over.
sun.
People in the streets just they lost hope.
Yes, because
they
they
really
saw the king as the father, of the, and really a driving force in Thailand, and not just in Thailand, in Cambodia, Vietnam, and Laos. He was a humanitarian king, and that's why he had the respect of other countries, head of state, and the people of many, many countries in Asia.
May I get some pictures now?
Yes.